Hey, I'm John. I'm the owner of Zealot Hobbies, and I'm filming this because I've been watching different business YouTubers and other people in the community kind of talk about how they grow and what makes a business unique. What do you do to capture a niche? How do you build a brand? Things like that. And this is all new to me. This time a year ago, I had a nice job at a nice company. I was making a very competitive salary that I could have lived very well on for the foreseeable future. And it's hard to want to leave a situation like that. It's a good spot. It's a good, safe, secure spot. But sometimes you don't want to feel like you have to keep following somebody else all the time. And I'd been feeling that way for a while, but my career had offered me so many opportunities to grow and expand what I was in charge of and what I was allowed to spend time on learning and developing and contributing more to a team effort, which was incredible. I love that. I think a lot about how I can make things better, how lazy is used as a derogatory term, but I think some of the most unique solutions and best solutions to problems are born out of laziness and a desire to do it easier or better or faster. And doing it the lazy way, if it's right, is just less effort for the same result. Anyways, that's a sidetrack, but Zealot Hobbies started because I was playing miniature wargaming. I got hooked on that by starting painting a couple of years ago at a convention. There was a free booth where you could go in and you could paint a miniature, and most people were in and out in 30 minutes to an hour, and I found myself there for almost 4 hours before I realized I had spent half the day in that booth painting one miniature. I was like, oh my god, that was so much fun. I love this. And then that drove me down a very dark, deep rabbit hole of Games Workshop products. It was very very expensive hobby, but it was something I never would have discovered that I love, is painting and being colorful with creativity. So I started painting. I started playing with the figures that I painted, and got into 3D printing alongside that because it was a way to make things for myself in addition to buying them from other people. And then 2024, last year, I went to the Las Vegas Open, and I had some accessories with me that I'd made for myself with a new printer I had gotten for myself for Christmas the year before. And I had a lot of people asking me, those are really nice, where'd you get those? And I was humbled. I love hearing something like that. It's like when somebody comments on your paint job, whether or not you're an A+ painter or you're just trying your best, someone says you did a good job. That's nice to hear. So I told them, I made these for myself. I wanted something to match my army. And a lot of people asked, well, how can I get some? And I didn't have an answer. I wasn't running a shop at that time. I'd thought about trying to. It'd been a lifelong dream of mine to own a business someday and run, be my own boss. Who doesn't dream of that at some point? And so I got back from the Las Vegas Open and decided to put up some listings for sale. I had very limited dabbling in that before. I had made things for the local gaming community that I'm a part of. I had made a few things for myself that I would then put on like eBay just to see if there was interest. And I believe the first listings I made were in January, but my first sale didn't come until February. February of 2024, 1 year ago. Today's the 15th of February, 2025. I think we made $67 in sales. Almost nothing in hindsight, but the going from 0 sales to 1, and then to I think 7 maybe by the end of the month. That was validation of, there is at least somebody out there that's willing to pay money to a complete stranger to mail them something, and they trust with their dollars that they're going to be delivered a product that they like. And it worked. So February was our launch. March was significantly higher. We did from, February being less than $100, I believe, to March was over $1,000. This became a very interesting side hobby at that point. We're running off of one printer. Having that much interest that grew that quickly was astounding to me, and it was not expected. It wasn't planned on. It was just positive feedback. We started getting reviews in on the limited things that we did send out. I was able to run a lot of ideas by the local community here in St. Louis. At Game Night is the gaming store that we all congregate at and play. They host tournaments, great people. So March, we did, over 10 times what we did in February. And I had the brilliantly bad idea to go to both PAX East and Adepticon, which were on the same weekend and are both 4-day conventions. So I went to Boston for PAX East for 2 days because I love going to PAX, and I never miss one if I can avoid it, or if I can avoid missing one. So I went to half of it, then I flew to Chicago and went to 2 days of Adepticon, and I came back to almost 25 orders that I needed to fill. And it's like, wow, I have a backlog. There's enough demand of my product that I need to keep making these in order to keep up. And it was at that point that I had talked with my wife about needing more than one printer, which it's like, who needs more than one 3D printer? I told her, it's like, if this goes down, all of a sudden we've got $1,000 worth of orders that we can't print from all these people that have already given us their money. So we went from one printer to two. And in April, we more than doubled yet again on our volume. And because of that, we needed to expand our printers more. So in April, we got printers 3 and 4. And this was still all just accessories. This is, if you've been to my shop, this is the deployment zones. This was the 9-inch deep strike arc, the measuring sets. Nothing really crazy. Movement trays. But the idea was that people could put in the color combination that they want. And a lot of 3D printers can't do multiple colors, and if they can only do it by manually changing the color of the filament halfway through or some part of the way through the print job. They stop the print, they change the color, and then put the new spool on there, and then it prints in the second color. But the printers I was getting were able to print 4 colors at a time. So my thought was I should utilize what this printer can do. And I made things in a lot of different colors because as part of my painting style that I developed, I really liked, bright, vivid colors. Sylvaneth was my favorite army to paint. In Age of Sigmar, that's kind of plant people and trees and nature. And you can use some of the most vibrant colors you can think of. I had very, very bright greens and yellows and pinks and purples. That, again, I'm not a good enough painter to win any awards, but I did get a favorite army award that was voted by my peers at an event in Springfield, Missouri, and it just felt great that people liked that style. But I wanted my accessories to match those styles. So we kept growing, and people love custom accessories, which in hindsight, obviously I saw them all around me when I was playing. Everyone would have different cool stuff that they used to make their life easier. And this was just kind of adding to the pile of cool stuff they could have if they wanted to match their army. May is when things really started to kind of skyrocket for us. May, we started offering terrain, I found a company that I could get a commercial license with that release designs every month, but you could also buy from their prior catalog, and I would have a license to print those and sell them. And the designs that this company made, their Dark Realms Forge, are incredible. Almost all of them print very easily. They have great detail. There's a lot of people that offer it, so that was a bit of a challenge, because I felt like if I was going to offer it, I needed to, meet or beat other people's prices, because, I was still a very new company on Etsy that was trying to compete against people that had, already made thousands of sales. But what I wanted to do differently was make sure that when I send it, it doesn't look like, it was 3D printed 3 years ago, like what a lot of people see in terrain, where, all 3D prints are going to have layer lines, but you can tell the difference between a printer that made something 3 years ago and a printer that made something today with the newest technologies and settings and things like that. Layer lines have become less and less obvious, and I developed the skill set of putting supports and orientation in the right places to make sure that I can minimize the amount of quote-unquote defects that can happen in a print that most people just accept because that's what 3D printers are. But if it wasn't good enough for me, if I could see it, I definitely figured they could see it. That's like a paint job. You always see all the flaws on your own painting scheme, but anybody that you're playing against is not going to see it. They're not going to get out a microscope and find it. But I didn't want to send out stuff if I knew that it could be better. So I started building a catalog of terrain, and it really kind of boomed from there. Over the summer, my wife's a teacher. Her and my son were off school, so they were able to help keep the printers running while I was at work. I was still running a full-time job at that point. They would keep things going. They would help with packing and shipping, and our volume just continued to increase. And it hit kind of a boiling point in August when they were going back to school. I had a convention. I was going to PAX West, which is on Labor Day weekend every year in Seattle. And we were just having this massive influx of orders. Over the summer, we had gone 4 or 5x what we were just a few months prior. And what a good problem to have, but it was also terrifying, because when you get to that point and it's overwhelming on how do I even keep up with this, it's a hard decision to make. It is successful. Is it going to keep being that way? If it is, what is it going to take to keep it that way? Does it need to grow more to be sustainable? Is it able to kind of coast where it's at? So we had some tough discussions about what does this look like, because we couldn't sustain the pace that we had created for ourselves while they were both off for the summer. And again, I had a full-time job, and this was at a new company that I'd started with in May, who are amazing. I don't want to throw out every little detail, but it was a large St. Louis-based global company that I was doing development work for. Absolutely loved it. The team there was incredible, which made all of this even harder. So I talked to my my supervisor, I guess, that this was happening. I told him, I was like, hey, this isn't something I planned on. I didn't realize that this was going to take off like it did. But here we are. I don't have enough hours in my life to juggle both this job and what's happening at home with our quote unquote business, which was becoming less of a hobby or side hustle and more of this is an intense thing that is getting a lot of money thrown at it to get done right. And I told him, I was like, hey, I don't know where this is going to go. This may peter out. This may explode. Can I drop to part-time? Can we, what would that look like if we can? if we can't, let me know, and I'll have to figure out one way or the other what direction I want to take. And I had built up enough, I think, good equity with them in the few months that I had been there that I did give them my all every day that I was there. And they were willing to work with me on that, and they let me drop to 3 days a week, which was amazing. And unfortunately, it didn't help as much as I thought, because there was still just so much work to be done, and we'll say that added 18 hours, 20 hours maybe, but with the commute per week was not enough, because I was already getting home around 5:30 or 6, working until 11 or 11:30 every night, waking up at 5 in the morning just to keep orders going, keep the printers running, because that was the only way we could keep up with the volume we were receiving. And so September and October were me desperately trying to make that work, while still working part-time at my job and having this full-time, what feels like a behemoth of a quote company, that was just consuming all of my free time. At that point, I had not and still have not played a game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar in over a year. It feels like it's been almost a year, maybe. I don't know if it's been a full year, but I had no free time. This was consuming me, but it was in a way that was some of the most challenging months of my life, trying to keep up with it, physically taxing. I have back issues that I had surgery for a couple of years ago. I've got neck issues that were getting worse from working at a computer all day at this new job, and it was all just kind of, I was worried about it all crumbling down, that I couldn't keep up with either, so am I going to lose both of them? And towards the end of my time with this new company, I needed to take time off because I had procedures on my neck to help with the chronic neck issues that I was having. And I had missed some time for that because I just couldn't hold my head up well, literally, without it being very sore very quickly. So around the end of October, I talked with my supervisor, and it was also the end of my contract time with them. We decided that it was either full-time or no time, and we kind of just mutually agreed, and it felt very civil and honest and positive, that they were going to fill that role with somebody full-time. And at that point, I was on my own. I think I could have and still can reach back out to them at some point if things are going in a different direction and I want to come back. I feel like if they've got a spot, I could take that position again, because they know I've got the skill set and the drive to do it. But the opportunity to kind of take that jump off the cliff, so to speak, and that decision that they had to make gave me the final nudge I needed to go ahead and do it, was liberating but terrifying. All of a sudden, instead of having somebody paying me to show up and do something, and they're guaranteed to pay me as long as I'm there, it is such a safety net that you just don't have when you're trying to make money for yourself. When you are the captain of your ship and you determine where it's going to sail, you don't know you don't know what's going to happen. I had historical data, which was not years of data, it was months of data, that suggested that there's a lot of interest in our product and there would continue to be, but I didn't know that. The rug could be pulled out from under me at any moment. It still can. That's an uncertainty that I just have to accept. But it's been really liberating to just know that whatever's going to happen financially is my fault, one way or the other. If it's wildly successful and it continues to follow the trajectory it has, that's on me. If it's not, and things kind of sputter out, that's also on me. Whether or not there's external factors that play a part in that, it's not about those factors, it's about my reaction to them and how do I handle them. What do I do during a slow week? What do I do if there's a downturn in a month? What do I do if multiple printers fail? Those kind of scenarios are not my fault, but it doesn't matter if they're my fault or not. I have to work around them and figure it out anyways, just like any company would. So that feeling is what's making me truly enjoy what I'm doing, and it's hard sometimes in the thick of the moment to appreciate how much I like that. It's hard when you're working for somebody else all the time to be motivated to give it your all, but when you're working for yourself, you're investing in yourself. I'm learning so much by doing this. I'm learning more about how to design. I'm learning how to market, trying to at least. I'm learning, different sales channels. This all grew out of Etsy, but I have a website that I need to work on, and I just started using Facebook for the first time in over 10 years. I just made my first posts on Instagram, and I'm not good at it. I'm not good at photography. I need to work on that. What I am good at is, I think, I can operate the printers better than I think most other companies out there can, based on the quality of product that I've seen that I can produce versus what I've seen other people's end results on, which is fine. And there's people out there that are better than me, but I need to lean into what I'm good at. And my products aren't I don't think a direct competitor with anybody, because there's alternatives, but they're different. My accessories that I offer are not the same, and that's okay. If somebody wants those MDF accessories, the cut wood, the burnt wood that assembles into stuff, those can be engraved in so many ways that a 3D printer just can't pull off. I can print with wood filament that has the texture of wood, but it's not. And if people want something that's made out of wood or metal, then that's what they're going to go with. If they want a mat that can lay flat for their game, an objective mat that's neoprene, that's grippy, I can't make that, and that's okay. I actually prefer those to the mats that I make because they don't slide around, but they're also quite a bit heavier, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're flying around with your army and all your dice and everything else, the weight adds up quickly. So some people want a very thin, lightweight alternative to those. So that's what I make. I make what I can, and the market decides what type of accessories they want, and our color catalog is what sets us apart, along with the ability to adjust those designs on the fly, because aside from the common colors and items, everything we make is made to order, so to speak. So if somebody wants their deployment zone marker, which I really hope people like using instead of just the rows of dice to mark off territories, if they want their deployment zone to say for the Emperor, or no-go zone, or I can't remember some of the other funny ones people have asked, but I can do that. If they want the lettering to be different colors than the triangles, and the base to be a different color besides black, I could do all of that, and it's the same amount of time that it would take me to make any other one that I don't already have pre-stocked, which I do with some of the most common colors. And other companies don't do that yet, and it's not easily scalable, but it's what I've got, and it's what I do differently. And I guess fast forward to today, we're halfway through February. We're not pacing as much as January sales wise, but our profit has gone up and our conversion has gone up because we just wrapped up a couple of events I went to the Las Vegas Open again, and I brought a cart with me because I couldn't reach anybody in time to set up an official booth. So I literally had a little restaurant serving cart that I put my stuff on top of and just kind of parked in different places and sat down. And I wasn't doing like barking at people like a hot dog cart sort of thing. I was just sitting there, and I let the colors of my products bring people over to ask questions. And over the weekend, that basically paid for my trip while I was there, and it also gave me the opportunity to speak with the event coordinators, Frontline Gaming. They run the Las Vegas opening, and based on those conversations with them, I now have a spot officially at their Cherokee Open event that's next weekend, the weekend of July 21st, 2025, depending on when you're watching this. It's my first one where I'm like an official vendor, and I don't even know what that means. I don't know if they have a vendor hall there. I think it's just a tournament, but getting the opportunity to go take my stuff and show it to people in person has been so eye-opening, and the response from the peers that I'm around has been so heartwarming, that people really like the stuff that I make. They like that it's a fellow gamer that's making it, and the colors are just they catch people's eye, and I like that. It's a weird form of expression that I didn't know I would like until I started painting, and it's a very extroverted color scheme that I usually go with, even though I'm friendly, but I'm an introvert usually. I'm not trying to force myself into conversations or anything like that. I did also go to the the Midwest Bash a couple of weeks ago, which is a local tournament every year here in St. Louis, hosted again at game night. And the tournament organizer, Laurent, he was able to get me a table where I could put my stuff for the weekend. And it was a sold-out event for him. It was the biggest that they had ever had in that store, which is incredible. And it was the first time that I had gotten the chance to spend a whole weekend with my fellow local gamers that I had stopped having the opportunity to play with because I had been so busy. And that was just so good for the soul to be around my friends again and watching them play. And I happened to also be selling stuff while I was there, but it was, even if I wasn't able to bring my stuff, it was the chance to just be around them and be immersed in that again for a weekend was just incredible. And it kind of just solidified that, at least for now, this is the right choice for me. It feels good to be around that. If I can make enough to make this a living and to keep doing this and not, lose financially and have to, return to the corporate grind, so to speak, then it's all been worth it. All the endless hours and late nights and early mornings and packing and printing and cleaning, and it's all worth it if I can keep doing that and get paid to do it. So that's where we're at now. I think this year I'm gonna tour the country. I'm gonna road trip a lot. Right now I'm just driving around town because I enjoy driving, which is another reason why it's going to be road tripping to these events, is because I want to get in front of people. I want them to see our product in person, because I'm not good at photography. The listings I have, the photos for them they're not great. I try my best to show off the different options we have, but getting the product in somebody's hands, they can tell the difference, which makes me very happy, and I want to keep doing that. I want to meet people from other events and other parts of the country. I'm working on a wholesale deal with a gaming store in California where they want to buy some of my product to sell in their store, which is incredible. I met some other tournament organizers that have invited me to their events, and that it's humbling. I love that. I love people asking for more of what I'm doing. It's a validation that you don't need it, but you love it, and I love it. I really do. This video, I didn't really have an agenda for it other than to just kind of tell the story of my last year and of doing this, and first year of Zealot Hobbies. I hope I can look back on this someday and fondly remember the good times if things go, turn south at some point. Or I can look back and say, wow, look where we started and where we're at now. And either one of those I think is going to be good. If this whole thing doesn't work, I know that I gave it everything. I really did. And my wife and son really put a lot into it as well to help me try to realize this dream. And we're still doing well right now. And I want to keep it that way. And I'm hoping that this year will really be the benchmark for whether or not this is going to be a success or not for us financially, whether or not I can keep doing this. And this video is based on other people that I've watched that have just talked about how what makes you different from others is your story, because otherwise you're just another person selling things, which is true. And I think I knew that, intrinsically, that a lot of the support that I've received from my local community in St. Louis is because of the story. Whether or not they're, as enthusiastic as I am about the success or failure of it, the fact that I've had so much positivity come from them, both, vocalized and from buying things from me, I think at least a chunk of that is because of my story, and they know where I came from, and they know what I've given up to chase this. And success or failure, I think they're going to embrace what I've done so far either way, and where things end up either way. And for me personally, if their story resonates with people, that's great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I don't expect everybody to. I mean, this isn't exactly a professional video format, but it's something. You got to start somewhere, and if you're thinking about starting a 3D printing business, boy, have I got a lot of ups and downs I can talk to you about. I guess what they say is let me know in the comments, but you don't have to. You can reach out to me in DMs. I'm not click farming yet. Maybe I will someday. I don't know. I don't have any way to monetize this video. I just want to get my story out there. I want to have something I can point to for those people that want to know more. And hopefully I can add to this in the future after some events. I'm going to try to start documenting more of the world of Zealot Hobbies, what that looks like in events, what it looks like at home while we run this. Fingers crossed someday if we're living the dream and we actually have a space that's not our house to run this out of. I'd love to document that process too. But step one was getting a business model that works, and we have that. Step two is making it sustainable, and we've made really big strides on making sure that we can keep up with the amount of stuff that we're selling. And then step three is going to be making sure people know what we have and how much goes into it, and what they're getting for their dollar is a labor of love, and it's also the best quality that I can possibly make. And I hope to be able to keep doing that. Thanks for listening. I know this was a long one, and who knows if it'll even get any views, but I am home. I'm going to get back to work. Have a good day.